What sacrifice did you do to receive the baptism in the Holy Spirit?
I had to stop being my own master. I grew up in a family where there were lots of drugs and gangs. My dad was a member of a certain gang. So, I was born into a home that was already living the wrong way. But for me, that was right. That was when I started packing drugs for my dad, as if I were his assistant. So, I was responsible for weighing and packing them, and I was even used as a mule. My dad would hide drugs in my body and tell me to go to certain places to deliver them. When I was 10 years old, I lost my dad. He was murdered. And then another situation began, which was when I fell into depression. I started having anxiety, thinking every day about taking my own life, and also killing my mum, because I thought I was in that situation because of her. Then came all the whys. Why was I born? Why am I here? That was when I started making modifications in my body, which was a means of escape for me. However, at the time, I would tell people it was a lifestyle. I wouldn't admit that it was a problem causing it. I wouldn't tell people that behind that Luisa, to anyone outside my inner circle, there was a deeply depressed person. No one knew. Then, I started getting piercings. My face was full of holes, and I was the one who would put them in. In fact, I would push the needle in, and if it went wrong, I would pull it out and push it back in again. I didn't feel pain. The pain that was inside me was so much that the needle felt like nothing to me. I used to go out a lot. I was always surrounded by people and friends. I was the one who used the most drugs, so it was always about doing more. For me, I always had that thought, I have to do more. People would say, Luisa, how can you handle all that?
Which Bible verse did you cling to in your pursuit of the baptism in the Holy Spirit?
It was this verse, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That verse went into me like a double-edged sword. I began to truly place myself as I really was, my true condition. That was the moment I was truly broken, and all I could do was ask God for help. I even told him, God, if you really exist, something has to happen. God showed me that I could change my life, and everything could be made new, and I embraced that. I asked God for help. I surrendered myself. I told God things I'd never told anyone. And God kept cleansing me, because in that moment, for the first time, I understood that I was in sin. So then, I actually felt sad for the life I was living for the first time. I felt sad for making God sad. That was when I made a vow with God, that I would surrender my life to Him that day. So I had to stop being my own master, and let God guide my life. Because of that decision, I started receiving strength from God to continue. Then, the great day came. I'd already been preparing myself for that. It was during the night vigil at the Nhembi Sambodrome. That was when, on that day, I received the Holy Spirit. When I truly noticed the presence of the Holy Spirit in me, the peace was crystal clear. It is peace that there are no words to describe it. It is peace that exists nowhere else, only through the Holy Spirit. In that moment, I felt so loved. For the first time, I felt loved, sheltered, and protected. And God told me that I was no longer alone, because I never had a father. But there, God made Himself my father.
What changed after the baptism in the Holy Spirit?
Everything was transformed. I remember that inside me, the person who used to live in a world of lies, who would lie, went on to become a more truthful person, someone who values the truth for what is right, because that is what God says in His word about us being righteous. So, what changed inside me was my character, my relationship with other people. The best choice I made was to stop being my own master and to start being guided by the Holy Spirit.